Name is Andre House. Name of my business is House of Ribs Catering. And this is African American Made.
Okay, how you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself, sir?
I am doing great.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for allowing me to step into your space, particularly because your nature of business and how you're set up is you're always busy.
Always busy, always moving.
So thank you so much for allowing me to invade your space to get this interview. But I think it's one of the more important interviews I've done so far because, for one, African American male, crushing the stereotypes that we have out here about who we are and who we're not. And you are a business owner, a man with experience, and a man with a lot of knowledge.
Right.
And I just love your story and your journey. So why don't you tell me your name, the name of the business, and a little bit about yourself.
Sure, no problem. Again, thank you very much for having me. And if I may just start our conversation off and start this off with saying, everything that I have here, everything that's to come, to God be the glory. Because that's the only reason why I am here. Name is Andre House. I am from and born and raised here in Phoenix, Arizona. A little bit of background. Like I say, went to school. I've gone to school here, high school, played football, come up through that. Went to the military, Marine Corps specifically. You know, there's only place to go. I didn't join the Marine Corps and then go someplace else. Nope, only Marine Corps.
Simplify. I know I did it. Simplify.
All day long. You know, I
Simplify.
tell people I still bleed Marine Corps green. It was 35 years out, and I'm still a Marine. Y'all excuse me just a second, please. Other than that, like I say, in the Corps, come out, went to school, got my degree, went to GCU, go Lopes, went to GCU, got my degree in psychology. I've worked many, life has allowed me to work many different places, do many different things, to include working in the Madison Street Jail for those that have been in Phoenix area for a period of time. Worked at Madison Street Jail in the psych unit as well as Maximum Security.
Yes, sir.
Joined the Marine Corps, went in as a military police. I was a field MP. We really didn't do much. We did mostly training. We worked once we went into the field, providing security, providing protection of that nature. Did 4 years, only did one tour. Some days I wish I'd stayed in, other days I'm glad I got out. One thing for sure, I will say that I do not believe that I would have gotten my degree had I stayed in the Marine Corps.
After you got out of the Marine Corps and you started working in the public sector, was cooking something that was always a part of your life?
Cooking has been, and that's a good question, cooking has been a part of my life for one shape, form, fashion, or another. One, growing up, I'm the youngest of three. My mom would call home, give me instructions on what to cook, how to cook it, how to prepare it, and get dinner started. So by the time she come home off of work, dinner was halfway done. Now, there again, as me being the youngest, my older siblings actually cook better than I. I just happen to be the one who do this at this point in my life. Coming up, my father was the one, house would be full of smoke when he cooked. You looked at his food, you didn't want to taste it until you did taste it. And he was like, Daddy, give me some. Nope. You talked about my food. So we cooked, kind of like any household does. But as far as in this nature, never. I've never even really, close as I came to working in a restaurant, I worked in high school, I worked in the Sizzlers as a busboy for 2 weeks and I got behind on homework. So I was in high school, so.
That was a wrap on that.
That was a wrap on that. So that's close as I ever came to working in a restaurant or anything, and definitely not a food truck.
So what is it about your experience being in the Marine Corps, working in the jobs that you've worked as a counselor and in corrections and things like that? How has those experiences helped you in building the business that you have today?
Oh man, that's a great question. That helps me because you've come into so many different types of lives. You impact lives, and you have to be able, you almost have to be, for lack of a better word, you have to be eclectic with how you meet people and how you greet people, and you have to be, and I like using the term also, you have to be bilingual. Because whether you acting like you hood, not bilingual necessarily with Spanish or German or something else, but how you carry yourself. So in doing that, I've been able to, I get a beautiful opportunity to reach people that I normally would not reach on a regular basis. I get a chance to impact lives. And by me doing that, sometimes I get told some of the most intimate things because people find themselves comfortable. My past employment, my past experiences allow me to present myself and present my product as my barbecue in a way that people find themselves comfortable with speaking to me. Sometimes I think about it as just like, it's just like the barbershop for some people, they can just come in and relax. Other times it's, like I say, we're just creating relationships one bite at a time.
Well, I could tell you that all of that is a testament to who you are as a person and how you're very relatable and you're very engaging.
Life has allowed me to see some things, and in seeing those things and experiencing some things, not that I'm approachable, but at the same time I'm not afraid to address a hard topic or a hard area with the person as they come. I've had some customers that I could clearly see that they were upset, clearly see that they were not having a good day, and still able to reach them, impact them, and many times, sometimes I just give away food. I just want to pamper you. I just want to love, because sometimes life throws I like to call it a Nolan Ryan knuckleball at some people, okay?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And people have a hard time, and sometimes they just need somebody to know that they care.
So, with all that being said, the food is a vehicle by which you use, and we talked about this earlier, to reach people, to talk to people, to connect with people, to impart your, not just your personality, but your wisdom. You have so much wisdom. How did that evolve for you?
That it was just the opening of opportunities. That you have to, in my opinion, you have to have a heart of wanting to help people and wanting to find people where, or assist people. When I say find them where they're at. Sometimes you gotta realize, find a person where they're at. Good food, good barbecue in this case, can build bridges. So in doing so, you find a person, you have a heart to want to help somebody. Sometimes you can't fix everything. Sometimes you can't fix anything, but you can maybe take their mind off of a situation for a brief moment with some great food, great conversation, and giving them some words of positivity. It's a ministry.
That's a good segue to my next question. There's good barbecue all over the place. What makes you think your barbecue is any better than anybody else's?
Barbecue is subjective. Barbecue is subjective. My barbecue is great to me. Right. My barbecue is great to my customers. I go many years that I would tell people I don't brag on my food. I don't. But I will tell you what my customers have said.
That's a good perspective, because I've never actually heard it that way. But that's a very humble and very realistic approach to what you do, right?
Yes.
Because I can identify with that even with what I do, right? I mean, it's subjective, you know.
One person may like it, another person may not. Right. And I have no heartburn with someone saying, well, somebody else does it better. Well, God bless you. I'm happy for them. I've been in business a long time. I have been in business, I've only been on social media maybe 3 years tops. And my children used to harp on me, Dad, you need to use social media. And I wouldn't, because I was doing so well solely by word of mouth. My word of mouth of my business kept me busy, kept me going.
Now, you said earlier that you had different iterations of what you do now earlier.
Yes.
Tell us about that journey. How did you what was your first business venture, and how did you transition into where you are at this stage, right? It may not be the last iteration, but.
Wow. We first started off, had gone to my pastor, who was also my stepfather, and little church in Blythe, California, needed a new PA system. And I told him I'd like to do barbecue dinners to start doing so we could get a new PA system. We did about 3 or so dinners, was able to make enough money in 3 dinners to get a new PA system. And I like that it allowed me the rush, the push, the grind. That grind is part of my upcoming. That grind is part of my being a Marine. I like that grind, so I kept on driving. I had the opportunity to come into contact with when I first opened up the business. I opened up in Quartzsite and had a little brick and mortar building, about 4, 6 or so more tables in there, not real big. And it went, oh God, that was a learning experience. I guesstimate I went through $55,000-$60,000+ in about 4 months and lost it. It was out of my pocket, it was draining, it was consuming, and it almost, I won't say it almost got me, because I don't back away from too many challenges, but I had to step back and close down and regroup and realign my thinking of my business.
Now, did you go into that with some knowledge of running a restaurant, or did you, like what most of us, kind of going both feet first, not really know what we were really getting into? I mean, you had the food part down, you knew what your menu was going to be, you knew how you wanted to present your food.
Right.
But the business side of running and operating the restaurant part, what part of that was the most challenging for you? That
I had no clue. None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Nepa. Matter of fact, 14 years later, I'm still learning. It's a constant evolution of knowledge and learning. Some days we learn what to do. Some days we learn what not to do. Some days we just, you know what? With the best laid plan, some days you still just mess it up. You step back, you regroup, you reassess, and you keep on going. I had no clue. I had no business knowledge. I just knew what I wanted to do.
okay.
And that is how I lived my life so much of, I have a plan, I put it together, and I'm willing to learn as I go. I am only here, after 14 plus years, I am only here because somebody else opened up their windows of knowledge and poured into me.
So you from that experience,
Yes.
what was your next iteration into? What was your next foray into?
My next
food?
is I had relocated from Blythe back here to Phoenix. Had met someone that I went to high school with, and he knew of someone that they had a basketball gym, and they had basketball tournaments at this courts in the East Valley, and I would go there on the weekends. I would set up, I start there. In addition, I would do MLK events and Juneteenth events, and sometimes I had a beautiful, beautiful couple that I met that allowed me to the beautiful pleasure of catering their wedding. Now that was And that was an experience and a half there. Loved it. And the fact that they trusted me to do what I did, I was able to provide for them, was able to do for them, but it just kind of transitioned. Had always had a thought in the back of my head of wanting to do a food truck or a food trailer. More so in the beginning was a food truck.
So let's stop right there for a minute because of, I mean, I've always seen food trucks, obviously. But with the advent of the internet and a lot of cooking shows, travel shows and all that, it seemed like in the last 5 to 10 years, the whole food truck thing is all the craze, right?
Right.
What are some of the challenges in getting a food truck business started and trying to make it successful? And what's the competition like? I know there's all different types of food,
right?
With that notwithstanding, but give me your insight on some of that.
My insight on that is for me, can't speak for anyone else. For me, my biggest issue was learning parameters of there again, because I've never worked in a kitchen. Until I purchased this food trailer, I'd never even been in a food truck. I just knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what I liked to do.
Okay.
So this was all a maiden voyage for me.
Okay.
And the biggest thing that I tell people and that I remind myself is when dealing with Maricopa County Health Department, common sense is not very common.
Okay, all right. You sure you want me to leave that in there? The editing tool is beautiful.
And what I mean by that, now let me explain.
Yeah.
Sometimes we at home, we cook and we might be very meticulous about how we do things in the house. We might be that person that's so everybody know to leave it alone. But that means nothing when it comes to being compliant with policy. So what I've learned and what it was like and what I encourage others nowadays is learn, if you're going to play their game, and please don't edit this, because I really want people to know.
Okay.
If you're going to be a food truck, if you're going to do cooking, understand what guidelines are out there. Because I had to learn, and fortunately, I had the opportunity to be inspected by some health inspectors that took me up under their wings and taught me. So there are times where I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know this. Because they're again not being in the field at all. So I had to learn some things, and in doing that, it strengthens. In doing that, now as I meet young people that's coming into it, I'm able to encourage them and guide them in the right direction. If nothing else, just tell them it's kind of like there's a speed trap up there. Be cautious for this, because this is an issue that could cause you, this is an item that can cause you some issues in the future. So in doing that, that was the biggest transitional part right there. Because by the time I got to the food truck, I'd been in business so long, word of mouth people knew, like I've heard of your business. I'm like, I don't even know this person. Oh, I've heard about you for a long time. People knew my name. But I had to learn the intimate part of the business, the intimate. People can cook, but until you learn the intimate part of the policies of having a business and bookkeeping and all of that part behind the scenes stuff, you know, wisdom is that wisdom is just the beginning. You have to learn the other side of that. Cooking is just the beginning. You have to learn the other side of it.
So that makes total sense. I mean, you're dealing with, like you said, bookkeeping and taxes, and
yes,
you know, keeping track of inventory and the health part of it, you know, and things like that. So I totally can see where you're coming from in stepping into that, not knowing all these things need to be on point before you. You know, well, it's just one major part of the business.
Yes.
The average person, you just want to cook, right? You just want to get your product out. But you have to be mindful of those things as well.
That's just a percentage. The cooking is just a percentage of the whole pie.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and knowing that, and that was one of my biggest challenges, is understanding and knowing how to slow down enough to figure things out. And there again, I repeat it now, and you're probably going to hear me say it multiple times in this interview. I was blessed that certain people come into my life and spoke things into my life and encouraged me and give me knowledge about how to do the things the correct way.
So, how would you school a young person or somebody just trying to get into the game as it relates to like the competition and where you can set up where you can get permission to put your truck at and things like that? How would you guide someone through that?
That's a good question, because that has been some of the things that I've dealt with in the past as well. Competition, for me, I'm my competition. And I say that because I don't cook. My cooking is not about I'm trying to be better than anyone else. Yes, by the grace of God, I have great food. I'm able to feed a lot of people. I'm able to do good things. But as we've previously said, my cooking is simply the vehicle that I'm able to use to impact and touch lives. I love what I do. I don't, and there again, good food build bridges. Bad food will build walls. So therefore, the young person, I'm going to let them know, if your food is bad, or should I say, if your food can be better, they are brutal with their critique. They are very brutal. I love them because they know how to. So therefore, I take in what they say. I learn from it. I grow from it. Then you go from it.